but I was late to the party. I ended up sitting my behind down one day and watching it. And I know that a lot of my peoples is not into the horror movies, okay? This was definitely in the horror genre. But baby, it was interesting to say the least. It did capture my attention. We had a TV show host who basically you know was trying to make his comeback, so to speak, right? I think his wife had passed away. He hadn't been out here in these streets for quite some time. And, he's trying to make his comeback and he wants to, of course, like, get his TV ratings up and make people interested in him again and make people want to watch his show again and follow him again and do all of the things. And so it's like a Halloween special when he comes back. So, of course, with it being Halloween, he want to go ahead and have people that supposedly can speak to the spirits, speak to the dead and all of that type of stuff, right? And this one guy that comes up there, at first he's just kind of guessing random things, saying random names, and most of the people are looking around like, yeah, no, you ain't talking to me, you ain't talking about me, nothing you saying sounds like anyone that I know. And we also, of course, have this skeptic that is there to prove them wrong, but he's saying that if anybody is for real, he would award them with like $1 million or whatever, right? But he's pretty much against them because, of course, he don't want to have to give nobody this $1 million, and he doesn't believe that anything that they say could be real. So the first guy that comes out is like very weird, and it is maybe two people that after he say a name a couple of different times, they like, yeah, that's my wife, or yeah, that's my son. And, he is able to get a couple things right, but he gets sick in the middle of the broadcast and they got to rush him out to the hospital. So that's already one weird thing that already has happened where I would have been like, yeah, no, okay, some funny stuff going on here. But they keep going, and he is getting warned by one of his assistants, but he not really paying the assistant no mind. They saying he overreacting and, don't worry about it, whatever. So now we get this young girl that comes in that apparently she supposedly has been possessed. She's been in some type of cult. They actually got her away from the cult. Is a lady that's raising her. The lady is also a psychiatrist and, supposed to be very experienced in these different type of situations. And so he has her come on the show to talk about this girl. It's already been on the news. There's been a documentary about it. She's wrote a book about it. So he's trying to promote it. And mind you, she's saying, we don't want to take it too far. We don't want to go into too much with the girl. But because he's so worried about getting his ratings, he could care less. Of course, he just going to try to do what he got to do, regardless of what warnings that he's getting. Okay, you already know how that goes. And he's over here talking about how no, it's going to be so great. It's going to get her more exposure for her book. And it's going to, of course, get him to where he's trying to get to. So no matter what they saying, he pretty much still like, we going to keep on going. Okay, so keep that in mind. And, he here telling the freaking, he here telling the audience, like, we gonna do our thing. This is gonna be okay. We gonna, we'll be right back after this break. Be ready for it, right? Like we about to just have a funky good time out here. No matter what she says, he says something in the opposite of, what she's saying. So he still want to continue on with it. And I'm sorry, y'all, my things is in the wrong place. So of course, bear with me. But so he just still wants to keep on going with it or whatever, right? No matter what she tells him. And this girl, like if you ever seen The Exorcist from back in the days, that's what it kind of reminded me of. Like she's over here giving us, because of course they decide like, oh, we want to do a demonstration because nobody believes it. And even when it comes to that, she's against it. She's saying, nah, we can't do no demonstration. It would be too dangerous. This is not the proper setting, because she's saying that the audience is going to have to make sure they stay quiet. They can't make no noise. They can't, interrupt anything and all of that, right? So nonetheless, child, they go ahead and they are able to talk her into, doing it anyway. So he's up here telling the people like, oh, you know, we're going to attempt to communicate with the devil. Okay. And basically this is the lady and this is the girl, right? And he's like, we'll be right back after a word from our sponsor. And after we get this word from the sponsor, we all in, we gonna go for it. And mind you, the whole time that they're talking to the girl, she's just basically staring off into the camera. And he's telling her like, oh, you don't have to stare, into the camera, right? You can look at me. But she want to stay into the camera, baby. Okay. And when I tell you this girl, like I said, if you've seen The Exorcist from back in the days, the cracked face, okay, the crazy voice, the floating in the air, all of the things was going on with this girl. The way I would not have been sitting in that audience anymore, child, I would have been going so damn fast. I didn't understand how we still had a full studio audience. Mind you, the guy that got sick, that was the one that was supposedly talking to the spirits, that they came to take away in the ambulance, they find out later that he died on the way to the hospital, and still nobody says anything about that. They basically like, oh, let's just pretend that never happened. Child, this movie was crazy as hell. I ain't gonna lie, it gave me a couple of jumps, which is hard to do. I don't usually fall too much into those type of things. So I was like, okay, like I said, this definitely was one that came out a while back, but I remember that I did have it on one of my lists and I just never got a chance to watch it. So I figured I would just give y'all the update and my thoughts on what this one was talking about. All I could tell y'all is that audience regretted that they still sat there that whole time, honey. And I don't just know that it would not have been me. That's what I can tell you. I could tell you that I would have been out of there. I would have been on my way home and I would have saw whatever happened on the news later and been like, oh, shoot, y'all, I was there at that place when that happened. And but that would have been all you would have heard from me. By the end of the daggone episode, this was him. I mean, the end of the movie, this was basically his face, okay? And it was too late when it finally jumped up on his behind. So that was basically Late Night with the Devil. Okay.